Welcome back to the Pursuit of Accuracy. I'm Josh, and today we're in the shop because I want to do a recap on this FX Impact M3 35 cal that was set up to be our Critter Getter pest control rifle and this PAR thermal that I got from Northeast Airguns. So I'm going to bookmark this, so if you're interested in one but not the other, you can skip ahead. But the first thing I want to talk about is the Impact 35 cal and how effective this thing is against critters out to about 100 yards. Now, I assume that this will do lots of damage past 100, but I have actually only used it to 100. Now, this was set up to take care of a beaver problem I had on my local property, but I haven't been able to get on the same schedule as the beavers, so we did go out and do some pest control for some farmers. We went out and tried to get on some coyotes, and unfortunately I wasn't able to get on any, but we were able to take care of some other critters, and I've got a lot of footage with the PAR thermal. But as far as the 35 is concerned, this thing is a freaking hammer. I'm shooting the FX hybrids, and these are a hollow point. These are 68 grains, and I'm shooting them dang near 1,000 feet per second out of this setup, and I'm able to get a lot of shots. I took this out hunting and never actually even took a bottle with me. I was able to use onboard air, and actually this has came back with me and I haven't messed with it. I'm still at 250 bar. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I did cheat and fill this to about 280 bar. So I shot about 30 or 40 bar of air, and of course I filled it when it was cold. It's warmer now, so that does help what air I have left to be of a higher pressure. But let me tell you, I took some shots on some rabbits from 35 out to about 100 yards. And you'll see one I misjudged the range on, and I shot over him, and we ended up actually connecting on him about 70 yards. But headshot on a rabbit with the hybrids of a 35, it is freaking devastating. And I can't show you the business end of those photos, but I can pretty much tell you, you could have put a water bottle in the side of that rabbit's head. On the exit side, I mean, it was just insane. Penetration was crazy, and the sound of these things hitting, just that, I mean, the two guys who were with me are not airgun guys, and when I hit the first rabbit, everybody kind of turned around and looked at me and was like, holy crap, that was nuts. I mean, it's addicting. I've never been an airgun hunter or really much of a hunter in general, but this will convert you. The sound of these hybrids hitting these pest critters is just addicting. I mean, it is insane how hard it hits. Now, we know the M3, obviously we can do all this cool stuff with it. You know, we got the longer barrel on here. We're running at higher bar. We've got it hopped up, and it is shooting these sub MOA at 50 yards and just crushing animals. But probably the real story here is the PAR thermal. Now, this thermal, I'm going to call it inexpensive because it's sub $2,000. I have the non-laser rangefinder model. And I would tell you, if I was going to do this again, definitely get the laser rangefinder if you're using an air gun, because the difference between 30 and 70 yards is huge on an air gun. And you lose your depth perception at night, especially when you're talking thermal. You're kind of trying to gauge this by how big the animal looks, but that can be deceiving. Would be the one that I point you to. And again, this is sub $2,000, so you know, you got to look at it through that window. You know, is this going to be as clear or as detailed an image as a $6,000 to $8,000 thermal? No, absolutely not. But for sub $2,000 to get yourself a thermal that you're going to be able to identify animals, that you're going to be able to easily set up, go out and hunt with, and have really a great time with it, this thing is a winner for under $2,000 for sure. Now, there are also budget night vision setups, and I'm going to tell you, having used both, the thermal is a lot more user-friendly. You're going to see in the clips playing that there's a rabbit, he's hiding. Now, I identified the rabbit because he was jumping through some tall grass. With night vision, I would have never seen that rabbit, but I was able to see the top of his head, get an aiming point, and just absolutely wreck him at about 60 yards. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without the thermal. The thermal just picks up the animals a lot better. Night vision, when you're looking at grass and brush, that IR light is going to be reflected back off of those things, and you're not going to get any real depth. Now, thermal is not going to look, you know, past a wall and see an animal, but if they're in grass, you're going to see parts of that heat that aren't covered up, and it's still going to allow you to identify where the animal is and take a good ethical shot on it, because let's be honest, a 68 grain slug traveling 1,000 feet per second cares not a lot about a couple blades of grass when it's an inch or two from the head of the old bunny rabbit you're trying to slay. So another cool thing about this, and what I really like, is the battery. So it doesn't have its own internal battery pack, but it takes a Super Comet 18650. Now I ran all night on one battery, but I did slip another one in my pants pocket, and should I need it, it's literally that easy. You just pop one battery in, cap goes on, screw that bad boy in, press one button, and the thermal is going to come on, and it is really that easy. Now this does have a focus ring right here, so this is what's going to allow you to focus in as your distance changes. Now I found that there's pretty much one like sweet spot, and it's going to work pretty well everywhere, so it's not really finicky. But if you're going to be extremely close or extremely far, you do have a focus adjustment here that's going to help you focus in. On the back here, it does have an adjustable diopter. You can see I'm screwing this in and out. This will help sharpen up the crosshairs and things like that, so you'll want to set this to your eye. And of course, I like to be 100% honest with you guys. This thing isn't without its faults. Now it has great battery life, super easy to use. It does record video and audio. The focus and the diopter, all these things are good things, and the price point is exceptionally good. But there are some downsides to this price point. $2,000 isn't cheap, but in the world of thermals, that is ultra cheap. As you're seeing those clips, you're going to tell, like the picture-in-picture, it's pixelated. These are not going to be super duper clear images for $1,900. You're just not going to get that. So I hate to even say it's a con, because it's just a reality of the price point, but you can very easily identify animals, and if you're shooting this on an air gun or a regular rifle out to 100, 150 yards, you're going to be totally fine. You're going to be able to identify animals, you're going to be able to get a good point of aim, and you're going to be able to ethically hunt with this PARD thermal. Now, one thing I did encounter, we went hunting on a super humid night, and I did have to take a cloth with me and kind of consistently, mostly wiping back here. I was accumulating a lot of humidity because I guess my face being up to that, the heat, and I mean, it was so humid that the guns were wet. So kind of worst case scenario, but something to look at. I did notice the other $6,000 and $8,000 thermals we had with us, those were not doing it. Again, price point, maybe once every 30 minutes of looking through it, I would need to take a cloth and kind of wipe it out and get that humidity off of these lenses. And there's aftermarket sprays and cleaners and stuff like that that help fight that kind of stuff too. But it was worst case scenario, but I did want to tell you guys that I did have that issue with it. Now, outside of that, I've had absolutely no problems with this entire setup. I would say if you're looking for a budget thermal and $2,000 is within your reach and you just could never justify spending $4,000, $6,000, $8,000, then you won't be sorry. I've used this a lot and it always worked, held at zero the entire time. It was easy to zero. It's easy to change features on it, and I'm not going to get into all those nitpicky things because you can find videos on this that are going to tell you, oh, well, this has this option and this menu. That's not what this is about. I want this just to be a real-world review for those of you who may be looking to spend this kind of money. And now, another tidbit of honesty here, in this price range, I think there's one or two. I think maybe they even have an AGM. I have not used the AGM. The PARD is the only one that I've used as far as sub $2,000 thermals. So I think Northeast also sells the AGM that's at a lower price point, but I think realistically those two are probably going to look and feel and function quite a lot the same. But overall, if you're looking at maybe $1,300, $1,400 IR night vision setup and you can swing the extra couple $100, go thermal. I mean, it's just not even a question. Thermal is definitely better than night vision, in my opinion, and I think you'll be overall happy with this. And again, the 35 cal freaking hammer, just slaying those guys. And we're not done. I am going to get on those beavers. We are going to take care of that problem, and we are going to do it with the PARD, and I am going to record it so you guys can see it. So more hunting type stuff coming for sure with this setup. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you on the next one.